So you have a vehicle down here filming in an area that's marked as restricted. I'm going to approach and see what exactly is going on down here. Good morning. Well, what's going on with the lights?
Our news crew, live shots.
Oh, you're with the news crew? Excellent. I film public encounters, so I'll stay out of your way, but may I ask what your story's concerning?
There was a shooting overnight, so we just need a police station as our backdrop.
Oh, okay. Not a problem. So they're getting a backdrop for the police station. They're right past this no trespassing sign that I've brought up to officers in the past. Obviously, if officers tell me if I film in that area, but a crew's out here with lights filming, there's a problem with that sign and officers' interpretation on it. Again, they're obviously out here filming, and as of this point, however, I've only been out here for about 3 minutes. No officer has walked up to them and threatened to arrest them for filming in that area, but they have done that to me. I'm gonna pause my camera here till I get a chance to ask them some other questions. On my recorder, I won't film your face. I just wondering, did you have to get permission from the public information officer to set up here? And that's because this is what, a public parking lot?
It's
It
public.
is public, but it's used. It's used for things, definitely.
Okay, well, no, the reason, and again, I'm out here for a specific reason as well. I document police encounters, other things like that.
Yeah.
And the police have told me, and they have arrested me for filming in areas where they say I'm not allowed to film, even though it's open
You're
film.
on a sidewalk, you're good.
Yeah, I get that. I was on a sidewalk and they arrested me. But again, when I see you here and an officer told me I can't go towards the magistrate, which is open to the public,
Yeah.
it just, I'm like, okay, so did you have to get permission or?
They got mad at him the other day for trying to go in there too. So you're not alone.
No, it's okay. I mean, I'm just asking. I mean, obviously, I don't do this for a living. I don't make any money from doing this.
Yeah.
But again, when officers tell you things that you know aren't true, and you try to gently tell them, hey, it's become one of those things.
Give me
Yeah.
1 second.
No,
Sit
you.
there, sit there. I wanna hear-
I am, and it won't. It's not for commercial use. This is for personal use. And again, I document police
What is
encounters.
commercial use?
Some people make money off of YouTube and things like that, and I don't do that. I know some people do, and other people.
So your beef is with the police department?
It's not even a beef. I educate officers, and I'll give you a good example of that. They said I couldn't film in that public lobby because they have victims in there. That's not true. I had to go through the chain of command. It took 3 weeks to explain it to them, and when they told me that again, I explained to them, sir, I understand your intent is good, but you're telling me that if you're interviewing a rape victim in the lobby, I can't record because you're doing that. You need to be protecting that victim, not worried about someone filming in a public area. Now, after that came up and they went through the city attorney and realized, yes, he can film in this lobby, you can't arrest him for it. Now, on multiple occasions, I've watched them take victims into a private, secure area through there so they're not exposing them. So again, it's not a beef with the police. It's more about educating individual officers and also the chain of command. Like I said, when one officer tells you, I'll arrest you for doing something that's legal, and you say you can't do that, if you guys have professional press credentials, I don't. So they're less likely to escalate things with you.
Oh, they escalate with us too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
Yeah, like I say, they had a problem. Well, not them, but they had a problem with him going to the bathroom there the other day.
Right.
So it just depends on the situation.
And again,
circumstance.
it depends.
Like if I was a rape victim and I was in the lobby and I was breaking down and crying, and they didn't have time to take me to
No,
another room,
you would understand that. And
I would not want you filming
No,
at
exactly.
all. I would be heartbroken. It would,
and a
with us,
responsible,
it would be devastating.
exactly.
Yeah, that would be devastating to me.
A responsible journalist will not do that, and I wasn't.
Yeah.
And again, I tried to explain that, and I explained to the lieutenant, I said, look, your guys' excuse is not true, because at the time there was nobody in the lobby
Right.
when
They
he
just
told
didn't
me
want
that.
anybody in there.
But again, I mean, I understand the intent and the purpose, but again, if I'm on a public sidewalk and an officer doesn't like what I'm filming, for example, out in this area, and an officer comes up to me and tells me, we're going to beat you and arrest you if you film our private cars. And that triggered me. I was upset.
Well, that's the private cars. You don't. Yeah, that I wouldn't mess with that either, because a lot of these guys take off their uniform shirt too, and just have T-shirts on and stuff like that.
Right.
Because it's their privacy, and that's where when they leave the department and they're in their vehicle and then their license plate and all that stuff can be. And it's not you. You would not be doing anything wrong, but it's being out there in the public with the license plate or somebody's face or their vehicle.
Exactly. Well, here's
Yeah,
how
I don't
that.
think you mean any harm or anything.
No,
like
again,
that.
and I didn't. It's the fact that a actual uniformed officer drove by me in his private car in uniform
Yeah.
and yelled I would get beat and arrested.
Yeah.
I'm on a public sidewalk
Yeah.
when he
So
says
what-
that.
I'm just curious, and I'm just curious, what's the purpose of that? Like, why would you do that?
Why was I filming? I came
No,
out.
the officers in their private vehicles.
Okay, I wasn't filming his private vehicle. I was actually faced the opposite way from the road.
Sure.
However, I had come into this area,
Yeah.
and that area back there is a secure area where they park their private vehicles.
Yeah.
But before it is a non-secure area. And I saw some officers who were out before the secure area. They looked like they were going back and forth. And I just wanted to ask them a couple of questions. I approached them. They said, hey, you can film, but don't film back here. This is where we keep our private cars. And I said, hey, not a problem. I went and I deleted that out of respect for their privacy or safety concerns. And then I went outside the fence, and that other guy drove by and yelled that at me. And it made me mad. I'm like, whoa, you can't tell me if I can see it, I can't film it. You may not like it, but threatening to beat me and arrest me for doing a legal act, that pushed me. And at that point I said, no, you're not going to do that.
If you're on the sidewalk, you can shoot whatever
You
you
can
want.
shoot anything you want.
Exactly. Well, I understand
and
that.
even in this parking lot, because this is a
Public.
parking lot.
Well-
Yeah, but I was going to say, this parking lot's for use. You know what I mean? So if
Right.
we're standing where this car's trying to park, or and we're in the way.
No,
of
no,
something, that's
exactly.
something totally
And
different.
it's the same as if you're on a public sidewalk. You can't block the sidewalk. You can't see. And again, I understand why officers get upset with a lot of people who do things similar to what I do, because there are a lot of guys out there who just clown officers or make them look bad,
Yeah.
and they're doing it to get hits on YouTube or to make money.
Right.
And again, that's not what I do. I'm doing this for educational and to actually make positive changes. Like I said, now they take victims into a secure area. That's a positive change. They may not like how it happened.
Well, you know what? It's just like us, even when we're on a public area,
Right.
sidewalk or in the street. Police have come up to us, hey guys, look, we're going to bring out a victim.
Yeah.
And if they tell you that,
And you can work
obviously,
with them. Or if I'm breaking down in the lobby and I don't want to go to a private room, well,
No,
then I don't want you in there filming, you know?
exactly.
So-
But again, with
But
that,
you can.
but the difference there again is that you have jerks out there who would take advantage of your emotional breakdown, and unfortunately, officers see everyone with a camera that way, and they treat everyone that way instead of saying,
Oh yeah.
"Hey."
There's
And
officers
Yeah,
even
that-
treat us that way.
No, no,
but
I
happens
get that.
to everybody, but I think that's every job and every profession. There's not always like the best people with the best intent all the time.
No, there's not. And again, for me, I found that by doing what I do, educating officers one at a time or through the chain of command, ones that know or realize afterwards.
This is a mic check. Tossing back to Ernie. Tossing back to Ernie. Tossing back to Ernie. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Go ahead.
Sorry. So what I found, what I do, educating officers, 90% of the time, they're open and receptive, and sometimes they're just going to flat out tell you, I know that's not the law, but I'll arrest you anyway. And when they do, I just have to go to the chain of command. There's no sense in me arguing that.
I'm just curious why, like, because I don't go. I just don't know enough, and I'm sure you don't know the whole protocol in their book, like why you would tell an officer how to do their jobs. You know what I mean?
It's not about
Where's
telling
that-
an officer how to do his job. I'll give you an example. The first.
His right's what you do.
Hang on a second. Hang
Right.
on. This is live. I still want to talk to you.
No. I'm going to pause while you guys do what you do. So just real quick, I'm having a discussion with these professional journalists and trying to explain what I do, and they're still out here covering the story in this public area, filming the police backdrop. Going back to when you said if your interpretation of me explaining to officers if they say something to a citizen that's wrong, your interpretation is the same as some officers. They feel like, who's this guy to tell me how to do my job?
No, I'm asking. I was just
Yeah,
asking
but-
you
but-
what are you doing? Like,
Right.
what's the purpose?
So this is the reason that I started filming in this area anyway. I was coming by here. I had a question about an incident that happened, and I didn't know if I could get a police report here. On my way in, a person who was a victim was going to go in and file a report, and the officer told them they couldn't carry their weapon inside the lobby. Now, there's a specific sign up there that says if they have a license, they can do that. There's a sign inside the lobby explaining if you go into a secure part of the building, you have to leave your weapon in this locker or go out to your car and put it there. So the officer says, no, if you walk in there, you'll get arrested. And the person said, yeah, but the law says I can. And the officer said, I don't care what the law says. At this point, I'm giving you a verbal warning. And if you go in there, I'll arrest you. Yeah, and that's exactly what he did. So I told him actually, I said, sir, that's not what the sign reads. Read right under here. And he said again, I don't care what the sign says, because now I've given them a verbal warning, and it's the same as a 30-06 sign.
He's using his,
And he's
what
using
he thinks is part
exactly.
Of the law. Right, I see what you're saying.
And so when I say, look, if he doesn't know, that's different. But in his case, it was clear what he did was deny that victim of a crime the right to defend themselves. And I'm not saying anything's going to happen in the lobby, but if someone is a victim of a crime and they have a license to carry and they come to the police station to report it, the police shouldn't treat them as a criminal. You see on my hip, I have an empty holster. There's a reason it's empty.
Yeah.
Okay? I ask officers questions about weapons, and they take that as an assumption.
Like a red or something.
Yes, and I understand how they may feel that way because they've patted me down and searched me before. And so after that, I said, man, my interview technique here, if they feel threatened because I'm asking questions about a gun, I need to work something else out. So I carry an empty holster. And as soon as I ask an officer about the sign, the first thing they do, they scan me to check for weapons. That's a good thing. The officer's looking out for his safety. The empty holsters let them know, hey, I'm not armed. I'm just out here filming. My firearm is in my vehicle. And I tell them that because, again, it lowers their fear or anxiety of...
threat level for them.
Right. Because, again, if I'm asking them questions, and I know because an officer, I asked the question and she answered it incorrectly, went inside and notified San Antonio Intelligence to come out, and they opened a file on me, and we've resolved that. I went down and talked to him. I said, hey, if you feel I'm a threat, let me know what I'm doing. I know you guys have watched my videos. No one else does, but you guys have.
Maybe
So
it comes across that way to
yeah,
them
no.
or
And
something.
well, that lady, I understand why.
I'll watch your videos. Where are your videos? I'd love to see them.
I'm Tory Reese, Tory.
Are you on YouTube?
Yes, on YouTube.
Okay.
It's Tory, last name Ries.
Okay.
Those are all my public videos. My camera quality's not good. I'm vision impaired,
Tory T-O and then R what?
but Tory, Ries.
Okay.
And there's probably about 12 videos up right now,
Oh, I see 'em, yeah.
all dealing with this type of thing.
Yeah, there's just a way to go about things without it being off-putting or seeming confrontational.
Exactly.
And it's just different personalities too. Because I have a friend who's just like you too, and he'll question. He'll question and he'll
Right.
question because he's very smart and he wants to know
Right.
the answers. But I'm like, and because I've known him for so many years, I'm like, you know, it comes across like when you do that, it comes across confrontational or like that you know better or this or that. And it's just how people, and that's what everybody does just by nature.
No, everybody does that by nature.
They make a judgment. They make a judgment.
And again,
right?
the problem with that though is when officers make judgments and they make a judgment based purely off the fact that someone's filming in public. If I'm filming in public and an officer approaches me and demands my ID and I don't have to identify to him, I do. I don't. I'm not hiding. I don't want that issue, but I don't have to. And that's the issue, is that officers will escalate things and try to intimidate people to get what they want. And again, for me, my issue is not the same. A lot of people who do similar stuff to what I do, they're like, never identified, tell them to kick rocks. That's not what I'm doing. I'm doing educational interviews. For me, it's the same when I talk to officers, just like I'm not pointing the camera at you. This is a habit. Officers get fearful or anxious if they see a camera pointed at them. I don't do that. It doesn't help me. It's not because I don't want to show the officer. If I need to, you know, if an officer is being confrontational, then I'll put the camera on them. But again, doing that doesn't help me accomplish my goal, which is asking questions and educating them. Like I said, the sign up there, it may not seem like a big deal to some people. To me, it was huge the day that he said it, because again, he's flat out saying he's going to arrest a victim. And I'm like, how do you come off telling a victim that? And at the time, I didn't even know they had the lockers inside, but I knew.
Yeah, you can lock up your weapons.
Yeah, I didn't.
Here at the mags too.
Yeah, I didn't know that at the time. Well, here at the mags, you can't walk in there with the weapon. They have the proper signage posted.
Yeah, the detectives and all that good stuff.
Yeah, at the mags, they do have down here, they have the 30-06 and 30-07 signs, which means no firearms. Over here, because it's a police lobby, Texas law 411-209 said they can't post that in a public police lobby. And so they reworded it in a way that gives officers that edge to say, well, it says here, and even when you read the exact wordings to them, except under license or by other Texas law, there's going to be a problem, and I don't agree.
You're making a judgment call immediately.
Yeah. And again, you know, some officers, when I talk to them, they say, well, you know, there's been shootings, it's far. And I say, hey, I understand your statement. It doesn't mean I agree with it. At the same time, I don't agree with those guys who walk into police stations with their rifles just to prove that they can. But that's me. I'm not saying that they shouldn't, you know, enforce their rights, but they're not thinking. How do you think an officer's going to feel if he sees you walk in there?
An immediate threat.
And again, that's the same reason why I use the empty holster. It's not to threaten them, it's to de-escalate it and show
And
them.
it's also symbolic too.
But
It
it's
is.
also who you deal with the police officers.
And it
There's
is.
different-
Every officer
there's
is
nice ones, there's-
every officer is different. And again, my goal is to simply get out there and say, look, the public has bad feelings right now. There's a lot of anti-cop sentiments out there. And the only way that the police are going to ever overcome that is getting positive videos out showing good officers, which I do post. If an officer does something good, I post it. If police officers continue to feel like the only time a person films them is to get them in trouble or to get a YouTube hit or whatever else, then police officers are going to continue to treat people who film them in a negative way. And it's a big circle. Everything goes in a big circle. I'm sorry, I will talk forever.
No,
I
it's
know
fine.
you guys have...
You're very interesting. I think it's very interesting what you have to
But
say.
it's like with us, some officers, they don't like you to question them.
Right.
Okay, because I've been at scenes and go, officer, why can't we get closer? Because you're letting the public there. Why do we have us here?
Exactly.
I've been told to because I said so.
And again, you're in a position, you know they're wrong, but do you push that and risk arrest because he said so? No, you don't. Most normal people don't. But again, other people, and this is what really scares me from looking on YouTube and seeing other